How on earth are you doing, you crazy rock and rollers? Listen, man, I had a day off today. I needed to recharge my brain. It's just, and I apologise if my energy's a bit low. But I had an opportunity to spend some time going around YouTube and seeing what people are talking about and just looking into a few things that have been on my mind. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that YouTube is awesome. And if anyone is out there giving their time and energy and dishing out information for free, that's a good thing, and I would highly encourage people to do that. It's good. YouTube's good, and some of the channels are fantastic, but I must confess I'm kind of pretty surprised at how there's a lot of people saying the same thing essentially on YouTube, or the same things, and they're not being challenged. And frankly, I think that there's some bad advice being given out, and I thought that I would just offer. I don't want to point the finger at anyone in particular, but I thought I would just. I don't even want to say anything negative. I just want to give an alternative perspective that you might want to consider, right? That's all I'm doing here. So, one of the things that I noticed is that there's a lot of developers posting videos along the lines of this versus that, or top 5 languages and stuff like that, Now, that kind of content is outright clickbait. I mean, clearly. And it's very obvious to me that they've not used the things that they're talking about. I mean, you can tell, when you see them saying very generalized things, and they're all saying the same things, and it's all surface level. It's obvious they've not used it, but yet they're going out and doing comparison videos and stuff. Fine. Now, I'm not saying that you should be a guru before you do a comparison of two technologies, but I do think that at the very least, they should have the integrity to say, look, folks, I have never used such and such, but here's what I think based on the research that I've done, But I don't see anybody saying that. I don't see anybody saying that. Maybe I've missed somebody. But instead, I see people saying, oh, here we go, this versus that, that's the best, that's the best. And there's one thing that I keep hearing over and over and over again. And that is, you should learn such and such because it's going to be the next big thing. We've all heard it, right? It's going to be the next big thing. Well, aside from the fact that it may not be the next big thing, aside from the fact that even if it is the next big thing, then maybe only be that for like 6 months before something else comes along. Aside from all of that, I have a question. Why should being the next big thing be a variable that makes you decide to choose a technology over, let's say, an established technology? For example, today I watched about 4 or 5 developers all saying that Dart and Flutter are going to be the next big thing, and they were saying that makes it a better choice than a JavaScript based combination like JavaScript and React, or JavaScript and Electron, or whatever. And so they're all saying, I think Dart's going to be the next big thing. Now, let's just assume that they are right, okay? Congratulations, their predictions are going to be great, and that's fine. Okay, so let's assume that it's going to be the next big thing. So what are you telling me? Are you going to go out and learn something and hang about for, a year? Maybe 2 years? And just hang about waiting on the carnival to arrive? Well, I don't really see that as being a particularly intelligent course of action. Because what purpose does that serve? I mean, let's assume that it is going to be the next big thing and you're really lucky because you only need to wait 6 months. What are we saying here? Are we saying that you're going to be some prominent figure of the whole language or the community because you were one of the first in? That's bullshit. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was the first commercial PHP developer in the UK. I've got good evidence. I've looked back in the early 2000s. I was on the forums and I was the only UK guy. Nobody gives a shit. And that's a good thing. They shouldn't give a shit. I don't think that there's anybody out there driving a golden Lamborghini and saying, "Ah, thank heavens, I was one of the early adopters of such and such." I don't think that's how web development works. And whilst those people, I call them the hipsters, are out there chasing the next big thing and waiting on the rest of the world to realise it's the next big thing and show up, well, whilst they're doing that, guys like me are going to be out in the marketplace doing real business, building apps for real clients, like doing stuff and making the lights go on at night. And by the way, even if you are right, well, call it arrogant. But, you know, eventually, guys like me will probably figure it out in about 3 weeks anyway. And arrogant statement of the week, will probably be better at it. And it's not that arrogant. Refrain from thumbs down and hear me out here. You see, I think that the type of developers who are going after the next big thing constantly are the type of developers who do not have the character, the tenacity, the work ethic to choose a technology and stick with it for many, many years. And so, you know, most of the people who watch this channel, I think, are pretty intelligent. And this is maybe not applicable to you guys, but those developers, in fact, I know that you're an intelligent bunch because nobody asks these questions. But on other channels, I look at the comments and I see people saying, "So what do you think's the next big thing for next year?" And stuff like that. And these are stupid questions, in my opinion. I think rather than going after what might be the next big thing, it's better to go after what is the current best and biggest thing. Now, here's an interesting observation. I have this advert that follows me around YouTube, and you've probably seen it yourself. And it's this gal who has a London accent, and she kind of has an East Asian look going on, and she looks great, and she sounds like a BBC newsreader, really well presented. And she's doing a boot camp, and she's saying, you know, all for the price of lunch, right? You've probably seen this on Udemy. And I mean, she's great. The communication is good. She stresses the word "you're." I mean, she's obviously studied powers of persuasion and stuff like that. She looks much better than me and sounds great and everything. And when I had a look at her Udemy thing, she's teaching all the cool stuff, you know, all of the hip stuff. It's all right there. I hate her. Yeah. Now, the funny thing is, right, here's me, like, if somebody was to look at that and then look at a broken down runt like me teaching PHP, right? And if somebody who never knew about web development says, well, you know, which of the two's the best? PHP or all of the fancy stuff? Everybody would laugh. I would not even be granted an answer. Even right now, there's probably some genius in the comments saying PHP server side or whatever, blah blah. Because PHP is not hip. It's not new. Doesn't really have a particularly fancy logo. It's not owned by Google or Microsoft or Apple or anyone like that. And it's just not as shiny as any of those other things. Same goes with JavaScript, actually. But you know what? PHP powers, most estimates say, around about 80% of the web. So about 80% of the web is PHP. And I heard an even better statistic not so long ago. I apologise for not having the source. Even if it's not true, it's good. And the statistic was, do you know what the average number of apps that people install per month is? The average amount of apps that people install on their phones in a month? 0. I think the main point that I'm trying to get to here is that if you can predict the next big stock that's going to make fortunes, or the next crypto coin that's going to go to the moon, if you can even predict the weather next week, then I'll be impressed. But web development is different. Web development is not something that you should be looking at and going, I think that's the next big thing, so I'm going to learn that. I don't think that's the game we're in here. And I don't think it's a very intelligent way to go. I think it's much better to go where the market is today. And if something changes in the future, deal with that when the time comes.